What's good, Wagering World? It's your boy Five Star in Vegas, broadcasting live as always from beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. And here with my co-host, my guy, the only Sacramento Kings fan that I know. What's good, Spread Astaire? How are you today, buddy?
I'm great, except for I already got to rebuy into Survivor. Tennessee Titans could not get it done for me. Unbelievable. I should have just gone with the Baltimore Ravens, but I was saving them. See if we learn a lesson in there. But man, how much fun did we have watching football this weekend? Great games with upsets, big upsets on both days. So I had a great weekend. I can't wait to break it all down with you right now.
Man, the only people that really won big this weekend were Joe Public. They won a little money. But most of all, that one loony guy that you know who just bets all the dogs money line and then puts like $2 on it. They came up this weekend, man. You had so many dogs that covered in college football on Saturday first. And the most interesting thing was how close was Texas on Alabama? Wow, man. We just talked about that game. And honestly, like I told you, I hadn't seen Texas, but Texas quickly reminded me after watching the game that, hey, man, these guys have the same athletes that Alabama has. The recruit is just the same, if not better, because of Alabama has to go nationally. Texas can go just right around the area from Austin to Houston to get everything they need. And with proper coaching, like they're getting out with Sarkeesian. And another thing that I was unaware of, not doing enough studying like I should, is just so much with college football. You know, so many teams, and I try to hit all of the leagues. But I kind of skipped Texas. I had no idea Gary Patterson from TCU was their defensive coordinator now. That's huge. That was a huge hire, man. He's one of the best coaches in college football, one of the sharpest guys you're going to see on the defensive side. And you could see his hands all on that Longhorns defense. They came to play, man.
Yeah, I mean, what a great weekend. I mean, do we want to get straight into it because there was Al. First of all, I mean, what do you think of the safety? Pretty bad call.
That was crazy.
That was a
That
bad
was
call. I'd be pissed if I was on Texas.
horrible call. It
Yeah,
was definitely safety. Those 2 points. Look at the game, 20-19, right?
yeah, yep. Had everything to do
And
with it.
getting back a little bit to that game, if Quinn Ewers doesn't go out in the first quarter, I think
Yeah,
the Longhorns would have pulled the upset in that game, man. I think they would
yeah,
have scored about 28 because he was looking very precise in that offense. Looked like Sarkeesian has that kid ready. He was really operating well. They were blocking up Alabama pretty good, and the kid was very accurate. He impressed me, man. Too bad we didn't get a chance to see um, the whole game with him in it. I heard he's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. Hudson Card's cool, but he's yours. You could see the difference in the offense when he came in. These dogs won. Had Duke beat Northwestern, which was a minor upset, 10.5. But after Northwestern came from beating Nebraska, it seems like something. But now that we know, both of these teams just suck because Nebraska also lost to Georgia Southern, which was the only of all the dogs. That was the only one that I called. I called Georgia Southern second half money line at plus 330 because I watched the first half and I was like, they're going to beat these guys. Georgia Southern looks pretty good. They have USC's old coach that was over there, and he's came out of his shell over there. He's showing his true personality. He was trying to, I guess, kind of contain himself and kind of, worry so much about the alumni thought at USC, but he's fired up over at Georgia Southern. He's doing a real good job. Then you had Washington State. I've told you guys Cam Ward was coming from Incarnate Word to watch him at Washington State. They have a good coach, and Dickert is their coach. He's the defensive coordinator. He now is the head coach, and he has that defense flying all over the field. Washington State went into a very hard place to win in Wisconsin and get the outright victory. They were 14-point dogs. Appalachian State goes to Texas A&M. Did you see the thing that Barstool put up where they showed the pep rally that A&M did? Uh,
no.
that's one of the most cruel pep rallies I've ever saw. They talked so bad about App State that night before, and look what App State does: roll in, smacks them, and then their Twitter account says, "Thanks for the 1.5 million." So the dogs were howling. this weekend in college, a lot of people that made a lot of money. We didn't even talk about the Golden Dome. What happened over there with the Irish? They lose to Marshall.
What happened?
I didn't watch the
I had
game.
it on, but I was just like, what is going on?
This coach doing all these commercials and Rolls Royce, aha, and G wagons, and he had this little walk like he's just a type guy, and gets in there nice 0-2 Notre Dame coach let Marshall come to South Bend and get a victory. You rarely see that, but also you on point. You called the Alcaraz, you called Sawatek. Good job by you on the U.S. Open. What are your thoughts about that? Is Alcaraz now the youngest U.S. Open winner? Did he surpass Sampras?
I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not sure
Sampras
about
and him
that.
both are 19. Were 19 when they won. I don't know about the
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know either. But
Yeah,
on the women's side, I was happy, right? Because we talked about Iga on hard courts, and I said, don't
yeah,
sleep. And we will give the caveat that we are doing this compared to the competition. I'm not saying she's the greatest hard court player ever, right?
right,
And then she beat Chris Evert in her prime on hard
right.
courts. But I'm saying compared to this field right now, her game is good enough, and it stands out. And in Ons Jabeur, right, you have what I think is the second best player, right? So it was fitting that the two players that had the most wins for the season would meet up in this final, but she just doesn't have anywhere near the ability to problem solve that this Swiatek does, and that almost felt mental because I felt like Jabeur has the physical talent to keep up, but it just even in the second set, I never really felt like Swiatek wasn't going to win it, so. She's gonna be on top for a little while. There's young players that are gonna come up and they're gonna give her a test, but I think she's really set to have a fantastic 2022 season. U.S. Open will be better for her game than Australia, so Australia will be a test. Some of the hitters, but hey, if Naomi's going to just be a fashion model and be an agent, be Ari Gold, right? That takes out one. I don't think Bianca's ever going to get healthy. So a lot of the top hardcore players aren't around right now, and we're waiting for someone to go ahead and step up. I think 2022 she could win 3 of the 4 slams. I wouldn't be surprised. I still doubt her on the grass because she's talked about the problems with it, and with only 3 weeks to adjust because it's such a short season, I don't know how long it's going to take her. But she's really
She
set to
won as a
dominate
junior
this next
though.
year.
She won Wimbledon as a junior.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
Hmm.
she did. So
Yeah. So
it's not like
hey,
it
I'm
can't happen.
respecting her. I'm
Yeah,
learning to respect the spread. You have a better eye for tennis than me. I'm more looking at the way their games look and breaks and things like that. Whereas you know more know the nuances, like the bounces, the styles, the kind of court that they're playing on, and things like that, and how it affects their true game. With you being a former tennis player, me, I'm just a capper on and a fan of the sport. And she's earning my respect. Remember, we talked about it earlier in the show earlier this year. I said that she needed to win another one. She has. She's a real number one. And from that performance that I saw, she might put some trophies up. Because now, like you said, everything's clear for her. She doesn't have any competition. If
right.
Ons Jabeur is her best competition, she's gonna dominate her. I could never see Ons Jabeur beating her in the finals. And Ons is older than her, so it's not like she's
Right.
gonna get older and catch up. So um, Eagles in store for a good run. Her only push is gonna come from Coco. But how
Yeah.
quick is it gonna come? That's the thing. How quick will Coco be ready to get on the level that Iga is? That's the whole question because at this point she's leaps and bounds
If
behind her.
anything we've seen from Coco, though, she's consistently improving. I
Yeah,
expect her to fix up that second serve. A couple
hmm,
years ago, she uses that 6 week period better than any player I've seen
yeah.
in the last 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised if she came back with a competent second serve and just became that much harder to beat. So yeah, Coco, great call. That she probably will be the next good test for Swiatek.
Well, let's hit just a little NFL before we get to this. On the right side with the
I
five and a
know the
half.
plus 5.5. So isn't that
But
so fun when you grab the points and you can just watch it? Well, you were a fan, so for me, I'm just enjoying it either way. I
I
also
didn't get
ended up
involved.
game day jumping in on the over. That was one of my
Yeah,
easiest bets of the day. And let's go ahead and give the Falcons credit, right, for how well they played. But
yeah,
unfortunately, it's the same result. So all
well,
that good feeling that you've built up over those first 3 quarters, it's actually worse. It,
yeah,
it would have been better to just lose 40-24 and get blown out the whole game because it's a new coach, but it's the same situation. This team has
Yeah.
consistently blown leads, and now it's a feeling where even if we have new players in the uniforms, it's something in the
New
building,
coach and
something in the
everything.
organization, something in the uniforms that's causing them to blow leads. And as a guy that really likes Marcus Mariota and was higher on him than the market, the first three quarters were so exciting for me to watch. But hey, the Saints get it done. Falcons
Yeah.
cover the spread. Game goes over. I loved it.
Oh man, what a performance in the fourth quarter by those veterans. Winston and Landry showed you why they've been in the league so long and performed so well. They really stepped up. Michael Thomas, once again, another vet, and that's why I really like these Saints, my Saints, as we go forward in this NFL season. If they can stay healthy for the playoffs, they have so many guys who are right there in that perfect position you want to be in your athletic career, where like 26, 27, 28, they're in the athletic prime, but then they're not wet behind the ears either. They're also veterans. So, big, big, big win, because the Saints were about to really break my heart with my total that me and Tyler, I got from Tyler and ended up playing. You got to beat Atlanta. So they came through, and I think that's going to really make that locker room stronger. Uh, Dennis Allen is going to get the right type of energy. You don't want to lose to Atlanta as your first game as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, coming behind Sean Payton, who's dominated Atlanta. And anyone who's a real Saints fan like myself will tell you that's the Saints diehard rivalry. It always has been. Everybody makes a trip from 10 to 65 to 85, and goes between both domes.
Hey, Californians, I can't. It's so hard for me to realize you can just go from state to state to state.
Yeah, I've made it a
Yeah.
couple times before. It's you go through Mobile and all of that, and go up there. It's from
Cool.
many years ago when I was younger, but now I've been on the West Coast a while now, and from Houston, always going west. But when I was over in the Southeast, I was in New Orleans and stuff like that with my guy Ivan Turner. Shout out Ivan Turner, one of the coldest athletes to come out of New Orleans. Normal trick that both fan bases make, and they take it real personal. The Dirty Birds and the Who That Nation. So. Cutthroat. They sent me a picture from Louisiana. A couple friends of mine. They made a king cake this morning that said 26-10 as they placed the Super Bowl 28-3. So more heartache for the Falcons. What about the Texans? They
I
had the
mean,
coach right where they wanted them. They ended up with a tie.
it's almost a win for that team.
I don't think so. I don't
Coach
think so.
said he was happy with the tie.
Yeah, he's smart. He's a smart man. He's a very wise man, as you see in that gray beard Lovey has. He's a very wise man. But to the fan base, they were very upset because the only thing that they can see and think of is the score going into the fourth quarter, and all of that just came apart after the Davis Mills fumble. Uh, he got hit in the back and ended up losing the ball, and after that, he was like a deer in headlights. Um, as the pressure of the game mounts, he doesn't perform well, and he's going to have to get um, his pulse together if he's going to be who a lot of the fan base thinks he is. It's funny because one of the guys that I'm real cool with on Twitter, he follows the show. He was saying how before all of the fourth quarter happened, that everyone was saying, props to Pep in Houston, and everyone was forgetting about the job Davis Mills was doing. And I think the fourth quarter kind of showed you why everyone feels that way. It's because Pep Hamilton's getting the best ball out of a quarterback who just isn't quite there yet. So he has to work on the turnovers. He has to work on being able to step up in big spots. Terrible tie for both teams. The Colts, I'm sure, came in thinking that they were going to win, as the books agreed, by having them at -7.5 before kickoff, and they just really ran into a Texas team that's going to be really improved, as I told you earlier in the season. Um, they're extremely better on the back end, and that's a big difference. They already were good up front. Even after J.J. Watt left, they were really struggling on the back end. Now they're very solid back there with the addition of Petrie at safety, who's going to be an all-pro, and the addition of Stingley at corner, who's going to be an all-pro. Impressive first game for those two rookies. Had another upset with those Niners going to Chicago, kind of like what we thought was going to happen in that terrible rain, bad weather. Trey Lance couldn't do anything.
Man, I want a victory like that because I'm Team Jimmy G out here,
Yeah.
and I like to to give all my friends, because basically up here everyone's either Niners or Raiders fans, um, and
Jimmy
I like
G
to give my
definitely wins
Niners
that
friends.
game. He's a
Yeah,
Chicago guy.
that's what I'm trying to
Chicago guy.
say.
He's a
And
Chicago guy. Yeah,
it's so crazy to me that you have a team that essentially is in win now mode and they've chosen to develop a quarterback. There's no other team that I can remember. Usually, when
and
you're in a
still
win
paying
now game,
Garoppolo. Still
yeah,
fancy. I don't. At least let Garoppolo. They should let the kid sit back down. He's not tripping. The kid doesn't care about being the backup. He has a very humble personality. Jimmy G
yeah,
should be
I
the
just think with
quarterback.
the amount of draft capital they give up, they feel like they've painted themselves into a corner. And I know that Trey Lance is going to have big games, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had a big game week 2. And I'm not going to write a kid off because he had a poor performance in absolutely terrible
Terrible
weather
condition.
conditions, right? But the thing is, that's where the experience, why you don't have a project when you're going, if you're just building, you can take this loss. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, you're the Houston Texans, you're the
Yeah,
Jacksonville Jaguars, you have a young core, you're all building up. This is not your year. You're shooting for 2 to 3 years. Then you can take these mistakes, these learning experiences. It's just crazy to me that the San Francisco 49ers have chosen to try and develop a quarterback. And I know everyone's going to think, oh, well, Shanahan's such a genius. Shanahan's such a genius. He's now 8-28 without Jimmy G as his quarterback.
that's
So this
right.
idea that he's the reason they're so good and Jimmy has nothing to do with it hasn't borne out, because every single time Jimmy's been out, this team loses. And
That's right.
Shanahan was almost about to get fired last year. So it's so crazy how he goes on this nice little run, and now all of a sudden he's the sharpest offensive mind in football. Like McVay hasn't been much more consistent and achieved more. That's just absolutely wild to me. So hey, I'm going to be here, Team Jimmy G, this whole way, and I know Trey Lance is going to make me look stupid this week, some weeks, because he's gonna have games where he's running for a ton of yards. He's going to have games where that offensive line gives him time and he can use that cannon to get to these weapons downfield. And he's going to put up 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 100 rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, right? And he's going to look great. But my point is that you can't, when you're developing, you need consistent. I mean, when you're trying to win now, you need consistency. And they don't, I just can't see him getting that. I'm really surprised at the way that this team is going with team building. It seems like there's a serious disconnect between the front office and the head coaching staff, and just, are you in win now mode or not? Now, did the Warriors pull it off last year, right? Because everyone said, oh, you can't win with those rookies. Well, they
Right.
did, but these aren't the Golden State Warriors. You don't got Steph Curry there. Nick Bosa
Right.
is good. He's not Steph Curry. So, we'll continue to talk about this, and I'm not writing the 49ers off yet. But to me, it illustrated where you had a winnable game with the veteran experienced quarterback, why it's tough to make that developmental move for Trey Lance. And hey, I'm rooting for the kid. I don't hate the Niners just because I'm a Raiders fan. I'd like for them to do well too, because it makes my sports radio and just the general vibe in Northern California better. But I'll tell you what, I'm really puzzled by this decision.
Yeah, and another thing I took from him was Justin Fields. Poor Justin Fields. This is going to be his life the next
If you
probably
flip
the
the
rest of his career.
teams, Niners should have taken Fields.
I think so too.
To me, he looks more like a quarterback. He had the worst line, worst receivers,
Lance is going to
worst
be
running backs.
good, but he isn't explosive or as powerful as Trey. I mean, as Justin Fields is. I think Justin Fields, something happened with that interview. Had to be, man. It had to be, because there's no way you decide to take this kid. I think what it was is Trey interviewed better, and that's what happened. Because
That could be
Justin
it.
Fields maybe has a little arrogance about him, an air about him. It's funny, his dad's a policeman, so it's not like he's like a bad kid or anything. So
Hmm.
uh, he's an A-town guy, though. I think he's kind of got a little Cam Newton in him, where he kind of knows what he is, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that kind of rubbed the Niners away. And I'm just guessing. This isn't anything I heard, but it makes no sense to me the to take a less stronger, less athletic, less experienced, because he's played in a smaller division. You had
Yeah,
Ohio State, with everyone knows Justin Fields. He's played some of the biggest college games we've seen in the last couple years, and he
yeah.
always performed. So, but I
To
feel
me,
sorry for him because he's in
Justin Fields looks like a
Chicago.
quarterback, and Trey Lance looks like a good athlete playing quarterback. Now, I'm not saying
Right,
he won't get there,
right.
but I thought a lot of his shortcomings were evident in that game, and we'll see, because they've really painted themselves into a corner here. If they get to a slow start, I mean, I don't know what they do. Now, fortunately, right, the other teams in their division didn't start very well either. I
Mhm.
mean, Arizona. I mean, I think that Kyler really needs DeAndre Hopkins out there.
He
He's only
needs
had
him
one
bad.
good game without Hopkins out there.
Yeah, he needs him bad. He definitely
Yeah,
needs him bad. Their receiving core sucks. It's lacking.
yeah.
But I
And the
already knew they
defense is beat up.
they're facing Kansas City. Everybody just was blowing Josh Allen's horn. He had a standalone. You knew Mahomes was going to do that. Mahomes is
Good for him. He's the
quietly,
man. I loved it.
yeah, Mahomes is
That was an
quietly
easy pick.
pissed. Yeah, he's quietly really ticked off at the NFL because me and you could both agree he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. They continue to lump him in groups with other quarterbacks as if he's never won a Super Bowl and never even been to the Super Bowl. He's been to two Super Bowls and won one at such a baby
Yeah.
age, already, and they don't respect it. And it pisses him off. So, and I could understand him because he should not be spoke about with Lamar and with Herbert. He should be spoke about with the other Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, the few that's in the league still. And that'd be, I guess, Brady, saying he's right under Brady, a tier. And I understand him, and he's going to continue to show people, and especially after Tyreek Hill, little comments and stuff he's been saying, and people trying to act like Tyreek Hill made him. He's going to have an unbelievable season. He might win MVP. What about the Giants? Saquon Barkley's back.
He looked great, and
He
much to
looks
my chagrin,
great.
I had the Titans in a parlay with the Ravens. That sucked. I had the
Yeah,
Titans in Survivor.
yeah.
That sucked. But go ahead and give credit to the New York Giants. I almost said San Francisco Giants. I'm in NorCal mode. But let me go ahead and rant about this real quick. Maybe you know what? I'm gonna say that I'm gonna add to kick the damn extra point. I'm gonna
Okay.
have my own segment today.
Yeah,
Uh,
I want you to.
I'm
I
a
already know it.
because there's a man on the Tennessee Titans staff who I'm not happy with.
Okay. Okay. Brian Dayball did his thing. Those
Yeah,
kids were playing hard for him. I could tell uh, the way he was communicating with them. He's gonna be a good one. He's a good coach. Can he survive Daniel Jones? He hasn't playing a lot better. Yeah, he looks uh, not like an NFL quarterback. Last game he did. He not
yeah.
turning the ball over as much. He did have a turnover, but not as many. But the main thing is focusing on getting that ball to Saquon Barkley. You forget he's been gone so long, what kind of weapon he is, and it was great to see that. Let's go on and get to the past, present, and future, man.
All right, here we are. We are in the past.
And you
What do you
had the
got for us?
Ravens last week, man. The Ravens
Yeah.
-7. Give us a breakdown, man. Cash.
You know what? A lot of these games came down to it where you feel like if you won or lost, you won or lost a coin flip. For example, I was also on the Raiders plus 3.5. If they make that 2 point conversion, I win the bet. It's so easy to just see one little thing. Okay, it could have gone either way. The Ravens felt like it was a smart wager, and we were on the right side the whole time. The Ravens started a little slow, but once they got going, the Jets had nothing for them. And then, of course, exactly what we expected with the statue Joe Flacco back there against a blitzing Ravens defense that's going to be aggressive on the edge and press, which is going to make him have to sit in the pocket even more time. He had no chance. It was just, you know, Joe Flacco should not be starting in the year 2022. They probably should have thrown the other kid out there, Mike White. I mean, it was just really a
They
poor
would have covered.
performance.
If he would have played, they would have covered.
They might have. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
loved it so much. I'll tell you that much. But
Yeah.
the Baltimore Ravens get it done. But we can't really do much because we had these teams rated perfectly. So we're not going to upgrade or downgrade either team. We say, hey,
Yeah.
our preseason assessment of the Ravens was correct. And if anything, we can say, hey, I feel a little better about the loss of Hollywood Brown now with Duvernay stepping in and saying,
Yeah.
hey, I can be there for you, Lamar. All is
Yeah.
not lost. So you give them that. You say, hey, we're either exactly where we were, we don't adjust our rating, or we just give them a slight bump, feel a little more confident. And we already expected the Jets to be bad. We thought they would be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and we were right about that assessment. So hey, it's nice to get a nice sweat-free pick, and then I can just enjoy Panthers and the Browns, which I got no money on, and I'm just watching. We lean the Panthers, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't feel at the end of the day, I didn't want to get over involved in week one. I wanted to go for my slam dunks going against the bad teams. And I thought that was the New York teams. The Jets turned out to be exactly who they thought they were. The Giants, not so much.
I knew not to fade the Giants. I actually jumped in game, and that was one of the ones that I won yesterday. Was the Giants plus 6.5, plus 190. I think I caught at the end of the fourth. One after they got stopped the first time down by the end zone. They had moved the ball in the second half pretty well. Their defense was solid. I just know the Giants, man. They're one of those teams. Like we always say, it starts from up top. Their owner, the GM, the organization has always been the same over the years, and you can always expect them to put out a solid effort defensively, just like we spoke about the Bears. Same way, they're organizations that pride themselves over the years on playing defense. So I knew that they would be around just because of the defense. It came down to how much could Daniel Jones produce, and he produced just enough, and they got the ball to who they needed to. One of the best weapons in the NFL that we forgot about because of his injuries, and that's Saquon Barkley. Like I said, great to see him back full strength. I was able to cash with the Iowa State game plus 3.5 and the money line plus 150. Ugly affair. We had some bad weather all over the country this weekend in football, and one of the places that did not miss was Iowa. It was terrible rain, terrible quarterbacking by Iowa State. I gave the bet to a couple of my guys that's real close to me, but they don't really cover sports or watch sports, only when they bet something to make money with me, right? They were texting me like, you know how I am doing games, I don't answer texts, but they're texting me like, man, these guys are terrible. Man, we're not going to win this.
You know which game I was thinking that about was Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
My buddy gave me Georgia Southern, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, this quarterback is terrible. And then they end up getting the push. He looks a lot better in the second half. But yeah. I had the same feeling twice in a row. First at the 9:00 game, and then at the 12:00 game.
Dude, I was like telling them like, just hold on, be still, because as I told you, Iowa State could pass the ball. That's the difference. They had Xavier Hudson, a pro wide receiver, amongst a bunch of players who just going to play their last time in college, and he was able to be just enough to push Iowa State over. Iowa, man, Kirk Ferentz is a hell of a coach. He's the only coach I've ever seen that could have kept that game close. As pitiful as his quarterback is, like, they stopped them from they held Iowa State out the end zone 3 times before they scored, dude. Like interceptions, strips, like everything that you can name. But Iowa State ended up coming up with the biggest play of the game and got a goal line stand themselves that kept them in the game and set up the win. They stripped one of the Iowa running backs when he was trying to go in the end zone. So close. It was the right call, but with the wrong officiating crew, it could have went the other way. And I'm grateful that it went the right way. So we were able to cash Iowa State. And for the first time in 6 years, Matt Campbell now has went and he's defeated Kirk Ferentz. So now for the first time, Cy-Hawk Trophy comes to Ames. All right, let's get to the present, man.
All your rowdy friends coming over tonight. It's Monday Night Football. Here we go. Great matchup for ESPN and the shows where they argue and they get all upset and this and that. Football wise, I don't know. I'll tell you what. And
we love it.
Yeah, well, I tell you what. So I went through, and so we know that the beat reporters usually have a more favorable team, a view of their team than just say national guys, right? For example, I went through and I was going on the Athletic. On the Athletic, when they asked each team's beat reporter where their team would go over and under, like 26 of them chose the over for the regular season win total, right? Which to me, like, familiarity breeds affection, or that's not the right word, right? But anything you're familiar with, you're going to like more. And I think that these beat writers do this. So I said, okay, before I just, go all in on this Broncos, let me go read, the rose-colored Seattle stuff. Maybe they can convince me, right? Because they're going to be giving you the, the communist propaganda PR for their team, right? And I'll tell you one thing I did. I did buy in that the defense should be a little better. They did make some good points that even though they lost Bobby Wagner, they replaced him with 3 or 4 solid players. And that, Bobby Wagner had declined a little, and 4 solid players might be better than 1, really good player. So I was fine on the defensive end, but I didn't see enough improvements on this offensive line, and I don't believe in Geno Smith in order for me to be really happy about backing the Seahawks team tonight. And after this weekend, right? How could you not be looking for reasons to take the underdog, right? I mean, we saw, like you said, dogs were barking Sunday, dogs kept barking Saturday. There was plenty of underdogs that won this weekend. This was not a square weekend, but it was really tough for me to come up with the scenario where Seattle wins. Here's what I came up with, right? And we kind of did this on my other show today where we said, hey, if you want to get different in daily fantasy, right? Not betting, not betting hundreds or thousands of dollars just on the game, but just a $15 single bullet entry to try and win that million. Run a stack with Seattle players. And the idea is, let's say Russell comes out, he's not used to the new offense, still needs to get some time, and is thrown off emotionally by being in his own stadium, right? The Seahawks can keep it close, right? That's one scenario. The other 9 scenarios, the Broncos are going to absolutely smash this team.
Yeah, he's gonna have to turn the ball over. He's gonna have to have a lot of turnovers, like 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles for them to play close. And it can happen. It can happen. It can happen. Like we've seen crazier things. Especially these standalone games. But I think the books won so much last night with the Cowboys getting smoked and then under going so low under that they don't even care tonight. I think they're gonna just take their.
I don't think there's anything they can do.
Yeah, I think they just take that. It's no number they can put out that's going to be smart.
Because the old guys have already come back. The old guys have already come back. This ran all the way out to 6.5. It's popped back to 6, and that's not surprising. Game day. We're 3 hours from kickoff when we're recording this right now. This is when the old guys with a lot of money buy back with big amounts on the plus money in a primetime game. And I understand why, because it's worked for years, and it will continue to work for years. I just don't think it's going to work tonight.
No, I don't think it works tonight either. Simply for Seattle just sucks. I think Daniel Hackett is a good coach. I think he's going to have that offense looking pretty good out there. I think you see Courtland Sutton make people remember that he's a great receiver because he's been over there just like since he came out of SMU. Like since they haven't had a quarterback, he's been a missing man over there, and he can play. Big, strong, fast receiver. He's kind of very similar to the kid that he was throwing to for the Seahawks. So I think you see Cortland Sutton show up tonight. I think Jared Judy does his thing tonight. I think the running backs, and they have some very strong running backs with the Broncos this year. Javonte Williams and Gordon do their thing tonight. And most of all, what people are forgetting, the Broncos have a very solid defense. That's what they pretty much survived on until they got Russell. So he should put them over the hump where they're able to now put points up and cover these spreads. I like the Seahawks a lot in this game. I'll get to a little bit later, ball and parlay, but I don't understand. Only thing I can think of that what Pete is doing, and I don't know how much time, he's a young 70 plus, whatever he is. Maybe he's trying to set everything up to get one of these quarterbacks that's coming out. I think they're going to go for C.J. Stroud because he plays in more conditions similar to what Seattle is. But don't get me wrong, if they missed him, they'd surely take Bryce. But I think C.J. Stroud is who they're trying to set things up to come be their quarterback. You got to think that with them playing Geno, because I feel like Drew Lock is a much better option than Geno Smith. What about you?
I think that's what they hoped for, and I think he got there and looked terrible. And they just said, we can't as a team. We talked about earlier competition. You're calling competition at every position, and that's why you do those fake.
This is what it is. He's goofy. He's like what Tyler Hero's on, but Tyler Hero has Pat Riley there and Smoltzer to shut him up and to be like, hey, kid, and slap him on the back of the head. Yeah. He wants to come in and hang with the brothers and rap. He want to be there dancing and stuff. And old white guys don't like to see young white guys like that. You know that, especially now he's supposed to be the quarterback. Like you got to find a balance. Joe Burrow's like that, but he's also serious when it comes to practice and serious when it's time, running. This guy's a goof troop. He's goofy all the time. He likes having fun, but he does play well in the game. In the game, he shows some, signs that he might become a player, but it's just he's that same lackadaisical fun side. He takes it everywhere and doesn't know when to cut it off. So when he gets in the game, he's just going through the motions. But at the end of the game, he has made some pushes different times and got his teams with the Broncos back in. I don't know if it's because he was going against prevent defenses and stuff and cover fours and people just laying back, letting him throw underneath or whatever. But he showed me some signs, small signs that he's better than Geno Smith. Geno Smith is just a good, serviceable backup quarterback. He's a good guy that he knows how to be a professional. Been in the league forever. He's going to come to practice on time. He's going to be in the meetings. He's going to listen. He's going to take part in everything with the coaches. He's going to do drills. And that's what keeps him around the league, which is very smart on his part. He kind of reminds me of Byron Leftwich, kind of like what he did. So I wouldn't be surprised if Geno gets to coaching after. But I don't think he should be starting over Drew Lock. I know it's only because Pete feels more comfortable with him and the way he goes about his business, not about the talent. So I think that's going to be exposed tonight, that Geno's a backup, and you'll see him turn the ball over a little bit with that Broncos defense getting after him. All right, let's get to the future.
Let's look to the future. I had to do a double take. When you sent me the script for today's show. Break this down. Why are we going with the team that's not in the SEC to win the national championship?
I got to go with USC after I saw them at Stanford. And the reason why is this. I don't know if anyone in the country can stop them from scoring. Now, can they stop anyone else? We'll see how they can slow down Georgia's offense and Alabama's offense, Ohio State's offense if they face them. But what I'm not afraid of is putting that offense up against any defense in the country. And what really made me want to take the 16-1 was after viewing this past weekend. When I saw the way that Alabama struggled with Texas and a couple more teams that I saw around the SEC playing other teams out of conference, and the way that they were neck and neck, I said, hey, man, this window is starting to close. People are catching up. It's other teams with as much talent as we have in the dirty now. And it's time that we just go on and wake up and see that, man. I don't even know if Alabama or Georgia wins the championship this year. Now, don't get me wrong. Nick Saban is great at making adjustments. Might have been the worst thing that might have happened for college football is that game they had at Austin, because he might pull out the whip and really, get those guys in line and make them, just go out next week and start blowing people out again. But honestly, I really think that the talent differentiation isn't great anymore between teams like USC and Alabama, Georgia, and we'll say Michigan. Even though you saw a huge difference last year, those players are gone for Georgia. So Oregon, they didn't look good. First time coach, horrible quarterback. Okay, so we already know that they're not a factor. But I would love to see USC against Georgia or Alabama. I really
and remember, it's 16-1. This is less than 10% happening for it to be profitable. So
right,
it's not like you're saying, hey, this team's going to win. Bet the mortgage on it. It's, hey, put a small amount, and if you get that 16-1, you're going to be happy.
$100
and
when
in
you're
fact,
1,600.
If they even get you to the final, if they even make the Final Four,
if they get the Final Four, you got a profit.
You already made money. Yeah,
you already made money. So I like them a lot. I just like Caleb Williams.
Well, I love to hear it. I'm just surprised. Did you
watch him this week?
No, I didn't see that game.
Their defense is opportunistic. The main thing that I really like about them is the receivers are dynamic. They have two A+ receivers, Mario Williams and Jordan Addison. And they also have Rice's son.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the quarterback, Caleb Williams, is in his mode. As you know from watching him at Oklahoma, he's lightning fast. He runs like a 4.3. He didn't run one time that game. Not once. Okay, so I really think that Lincoln Riley is doing this thing with him and has him ready. And they're going to show up this year, man. So they're going to run through the Pac-12. They won't be pushed until they get to the playoffs. They're going to run through the Pac-12. Remember, let's kick the damn extra point, man. I'm going to let you go first.
All right. First of all, who knocked me out of Survivor? It wasn't even my guy, Mike Rabel. It was the worst offensive coordinator in football. We had him in the Raiders. I saw him ruin a top-flight offense in 20 slot downing. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, everyone would say, oh, well, you just lost your bet because of the field goal. Yes, the field goal. That's why they're right. That's why I lost my bet. But you know when I really lost the bet was with 3 minutes to go. They have 3rd and 2. You have Derrick Henry in the backfield, 3rd and 2. Which running back would you rather have in the whole NFL besides Derrick Henry? This is like the Marshawn Lynch all over again. Yeah. When you got a big guy, this is what you have him for. This is why, even though he can't catch out of the backfield, he's such a valuable weapon. So what do? Do you give it to the most powerful running back that we've seen in the last 5 years? No. You run a jet sweep with the backup tight end.
that runs
Todd
like a
Downing.
4.8.
Todd Downing gives it's my, just absolutely terrible. Kick the damn extra point, Todd Downing. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. It's not that hard.
Man, I got twins on it this week. I got to start with one of the all-time greats. I call him Booty Chin, but his real name is Bill O'Brien, or as we refer to him in the Houston area, B.O.B. We're not gonna say what those letters stand for, but Booty Chin is the only person in the whole world that can keep Bryce Young to 10 points. He's the only one. He's the only one that can take Alabama's talent and coach so terribly and run such horrible play calls that he can contain Nick Saban's offense. With all these elite athletes. Hey man, as usual, Booty Chin, kick the damn extra point, and then we're gonna get to your kinfolk. He did all that woofing about Nick Saban. He's cheating. He paid for all those players, and then you come down here, Jimbo Fisher, take all this money from my guys over there at A&M just to lose the App State at home. Man, come on, man. And then look, every time he's supposed to be this quarterback whisperer, quarterback guru, but the only quarterback he ever had that was good was Jameis Winston. So maybe it was Jameis Winston instead of it being Jimbo Fisher, man. Every year he's switching out quarterbacks. He's benching guys. He has two people who one's going to start. No, this guy might start. It's all because of him. He's unorganized. He's running an outdated offense. You can pay for all the money in the world, man. You could, like they say, you can spend money, but you can't buy class. And at the end of the day, man, you snitched on your homeboy. The guy that put you in the game, you snitched on him, dry snitched on top of that, and then you lost to App State in front of 100,000 people at College Station. Jimbo Fisher, kick the damn extra point, man.
All right, the winners tonight, ball and parlay. I'll let you start because you're attacking the first half, and I'm attacking the full game. What do you got?
Man, we're going with Russell Wilson, Daniel Hackett. I think a little bit something similar like we saw with Device, great of mine, new young coach. Got his quarterback happy, smiling, got all these weapons. They're about to have some fun. They're about to play mad. That's what all these coaches that's our age does, Spread. It's just like us out there coaching. They're out there playing mad. They're thinking of all these. What about my boy from Miami? Shout out Mike McDaniels, man. I told you that guy can coach. Did you see the kind of hugs that Bill Belichick gave? He gave him the fast, like, did he? I'm like, this should be like, congratulations on your first win. He was so pissed. He was so salty because he held him to 7 points. Like, he put up a defensive masterpiece and offensive. Good job for Mike McDaniels, man. Great, impressive performance. Getting back to this game, I think Daniel Hackett is a sharp dude. I think Green Bay's offense not only is missing Devontae Adams, it was missing him last night a little bit too, because as what I heard from campus was that was Rodgers' guy, that him and Daniel Hackett were real close, and the one he confided in. I think he's going to get that same trust out of Russell Wilson. It's so funny because Aaron Rodgers hates Russell Wilson. Yeah, he can't. Aaron Rodgers hates Russell Wilson.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For years, ever since. Remember when they beat him? And Russell Wilson said, praise God, after, Rodgers is all atheist and all mean and stuff. So he was mad. Like,
maybe he found God in the desert. Man.
Yeah, he got mad. So he hasn't liked him. He think he's a pony. But he has his coach now. And I think Sierra and Russell Wilson are trying to win it all this year. They're trying to go for the big bucks. They're trying to be the Beyonce and Jay-Z of the NFL. So she's on this road. She wants a big performance tonight with the spotlight on them. So I think Russell Wilson comes through. And I think the Broncos jump up early. As we said, the Seattle Seahawks are going to struggle on offense and defense. They're just not that good. Pete Carroll's great coach, can only last so long as far as in keeping them in the game. But I think it starts early and often. So I'm going with the Broncos -3.5.
And I like the under 44. It's correlated to the Seattle team total under, so if you like to play that as well. I don't think that the Seattle's going to be able to score on this Broncos defense. This Broncos defense is finally healthy, and while I do think they will suffer from the loss of Vic Fangio against the other elite offenses in their conference, in the AFC West, in their division, they're not going to struggle against this team tonight. Let's be honest, has 2 elite receivers, 2 average running backs, a below average offensive line, and a bottom 5 quarterback. So This is too much to ask, even though they're going to be at home. And the other reason I do like the unders, we saw it this week. These teams are going to come out conservative. No one wants to throw a pick six on their first drive. No one wants to get in that hole early. Everyone wants to get their linemen moving forward, hitting the ball, positive plays, small yardage, grab rhythm. These teams have no problem starting slowly. So I like the under in the first half. I like the under for the full game, and I like the Seattle team total under.
Yeah, I like that. And it corresponds with, like you said, Seattle. Pete Carroll, you remember how conservative he was.
That's what he wants to do. That's why he didn't mind losing
magnified now that he had Geno Smith as his quarterback. Believe that.
Yep.
You're going to probably get 20 carries from Rashard Penny. Is Walker playing tonight? The rookie?
Yeah, he should be in there. Yeah.
He'll get 20 carries. They're going to run the ball 40 times, I guarantee you. The thing is, as long as the Broncos are stout against the run, they won't have any issues, because the only way that I can see Seattle getting some scores, I see them getting one lucky score to their receiver, maybe one score to him, like on a bomb when, the Broncos are slipping. They're playing so much in the run, they throw it over the top, but I'm hoping it's in the second half. So we're going with the Broncos minus 3.5 first half, under 44 for the whole game. As always, best of luck to you all. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for trusting our information. We went 2-0 last show, and we're looking to do it again today. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday.